So this week I'm really excited about what I've got to vlog. So myself, Steve, Grant and Corey are all heading to Texas. We're going to actually go and drive the big body Bronco and the Bronco Sport, not to mention. And it's going to be the Texas Off-RODEO. People who have bought those vehicles can actually do the same thing, but we get compressed into one day. So here it comes. You'll like this one. I've been pretty fortunate in my career that I've been and driven a lot of cars on either tracks or parking lots that they've made into tracks, or even, you know, I was lucky enough to get to drive the i8, one of 9 people that got to drive that before it came out for BMW. The Bronco experience was by far the best I've ever done, and I've been on some really good ones, because it was, I think it was, what made it so good is that they literally went out and leased 360 acres off some guy and purpose built that place for that car, instead of going to a parking lot and putting cameras down. That's the difference. So we got there obviously the day before. We pre-registered for the trip. They obviously gave us the you know, health and safety issues with COVID and stuff like that. And then they gave us a time. We got downstairs in the lobby for that time, which was 8:30. And then we got on a shuttle, and we drove about 20 minutes to a 360-acre ranch that was owned by some billionaire, and but Ford had leased it, and I would guess have invested a lot of money, because they had a purpose-built facility and track just for the Bronco Off-RODEO. So then we got there. We had kind of like a 20-minute like presentation on what to expect, you know, a little bit of history on the Bronco, showed us around a little bit, and then we dove straight into it. They took us out to drive the big body Bronco first. They taught us the trail turn assist on first. We also then we got to submerge in some deep water for a little bit. Went over some other bumpy sections. Showed us what it was like for balance wise, and there's a video in there of me pulling it down and lifting it back up again, showing you how easy it was based on the balance. And then we went into the Bronco Sport. Bronco Sport was about 75 minutes on the trails, testing it out, which I'm going to be honest with you, absolutely blew me away. We got to drive it fast, up hills, you know, do all kinds of different maneuvers on it, which was really cool.
The Bronco Sport far exceeds the capability that anybody expected it to.
The Bronco Sport blew me away because I was not expecting that vehicle to be as capable as it was. I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, we kind of assumed that vehicle was kind of a fancy escape, and it ended up being an extremely capable off-road vehicle, which we didn't realize. So that kind of was a really highlight of my time there, 75 minutes in a car that I was expecting to either get stuck or just be driving around a plain track, and it ended up being just an off-road vehicle, you know, or not. And then we got to go in the big body Bronco again, but we stayed in that for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And that was totally off-road trails, all the trails, get to do everything. The cool thing was at the very end, we didn't get to drive them fast, but they had like what they called the Fun Havoc course, where the instructors took us around and went as fast as physically possible, which was really neat. Then we went back again, back to the main area, kind of did some more kind of information building on the truck, and then we got shuttled back to the hotel, but by then it was probably about 7 o'clock at night.
I knew it was going to be a great vehicle. I didn't know how easy it was going to be to go off, serious off-roading. You know, a couple of simple commands from the guides, and all of us were doing these things with no effort. Just how easy it was, the vehicle and the capability of it, and just little things. You're watching a guy in front of you go over rock and mud, and there's no slippage. And then you go through it and you're like, man, that was easy. You know, whether I was driving or Grant or even Corey and Jason, it was just, at the end, we just sat there and talked about it was just an easy effort. You know, the car just did it. All you did was basically keep it, guide it through the course, and the car did the rest.
Some of the water we went through was pretty high, like up to the doors, and it was running through it just fine. There was a section that the trainers there called Goodyear Hill, because the first day that they went out there and did it, they popped 2 tires on it. So it was an angled hill where you had to crest over, and it kind of put you on unbalanced a little bit, and then you had to go back up, and it was like a 25-degree incline or something climbing up these rocks, and it was just, that was one of those scenarios where you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to make it up there. But that was probably, driving through the deep water and that hill specifically was probably the best parts.
But the biggest thing I really liked was, you know, when you come to a 20% slate hill, and the big body Bronco just goes up like it's driving on a flat road, and you're sitting at the bottom of it and going, I ain't never making the top of that. And then all of a sudden you're at the top of it and you're like, oh wow, that just made it up there like it was nothing. That was really the biggest amazing thing. Now, we knew going in that the Bronco was going to be capable, but until you actually drive up a hill like that, and to be honest with you, it's not really a hill, it's like a rock. It's literally a slate hill. You're like, oh wow, this thing can really go literally wherever you want it to go.
One thing I did, he had me do it was a hill that was a 20-degree up, crest, and then 20-degree down. And I did it by just steering the car on the hill climb or hill trail control, set the cruise at 1.5 miles an hour, and that's all it drove up it. And you know, all I had to do was keep it straight on the track, and when I crested it, start going down, it kept it at 1.5 miles an hour all the way down. So it's just, I hate to say it, but it basically makes off-roading simple for the most inexperienced people out there.
For anybody doing any real off-roading that's going to utilize things like a sway bar disconnect.
Come up to your hero switches. Okay. Now, sway bar only drop it so far, right? Doesn't have a lot of travel, but it makes it for a lot smoother and easier ride.
Being able to do that on any ground, not you're out there in the open, you have to find a flat piece of ground to disconnect your sway bar, to turn around and go and get back on that obstacle. You can just be in the middle of your trip and just handle everything right then. It is crazy fast how quick everything engages and disengages with just the quick push of a button.
Just seeing how capable they actually are. I mean, we were climbing some stuff that you'd stand there and look at and be like, no way. You know, I'm not going to even attempt to do that in any car. Yeah. But, I mean, even without some of the technology that they have to make that easier, they still did it.
The full-size Bronco, the capabilities and the ease of off-roading, you know, most of us that went never did any major off-roading, and we're going in water up to our bumpers. We're going up a 20-25 degree rock wall, and I think that's what made it really impressive on me, was how easy and simple the car reacts to everything. Just every little thing that we did was simple.
So the Roadrunner course, we did that with the Bronco Sport, and you're in loose dirt, mud, ruts, sand, all that stuff. And we were putting them to the test. I mean, they said to get after it, but I think we did a little bit harder than they suggested, because we were trying to drift corners and these things. And the Bronco Sport completely handled it extremely well. Something that I wasn't necessarily expecting a lot from whenever we were going into it. Just, we're just going to drive on some dirt roads or some small stuff, but I mean, we put these things up on 2 wheels, so it was nuts. But yeah, the Roadrunner course for that was really a good time. showed you how capable the vehicle really was.
Fortunately for myself, I got a lot to compare it to because I used to race stock cars on that type of not necessarily that terrain, but that surface. And that thing, you know, you really could get up to speed. We probably got up to like the 40, 50 mile an hour, which doesn't seem a lot when you just say that number, but on a dirt track with bumps all over it, yeah, it's really fast. And it, you know, could turn extremely fast around those, you know, wet, slippery surfaces with ease.
Easy to handle. The Bronco Sport was a ton of fun to be doing 35 miles an hour around really sharp dirt road turns. For somebody that has one ordered for my wife that will arrive here soon, it gave me confidence that she can drive that vehicle in any situation and I'll know she'll get where she's needing to be, no problem.